Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday. Today's Fast and Easy card is going to feature some new products that just became available on May 1st. These are things from the 2024 to 2025 annual catalog. The first thing I want to tell you about is our new in colors. One of those colors is Shy Shamrock, which is this lovely bright green. That's what we'll be using in our card today. And another thing that we'll be using is the ink color. It is called Petunia Pop, and it also is one of the 5 new in colors. I'm going to be teaming those 2 colors up with a regular color, Lemon Lime Twist. And so let's begin on our card, and I'll also show you some new stamps that are available. So I have my card base made out of that new color, Shy Shamrock. This is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. I have made a score line at 4 1/4 and am going to fold and burnish or reinforce that fold. All right, then I have a piece of lemon lime twist cardstock, and I used an embossing folder that has retired. This was the macrame embossing folder. It actually might have retired a while ago, but I just wanted something with a pattern, a random pattern, and so I reached for this. Really, just about any embossing folder that you have would work for this. So I went ahead and put this cardstock into my embossing folder, ran it through my die cut and emboss machine, and ended up with this layer. So this is going to go on the front of the card like so. I have another piece of Shy Shamrock, and this piece measures 4.5 inches by 2 1/4 inches. This is going to be a layer that is behind this piece, which is 2 inches by 4 inches. All right, we're going to do our stamping on here and also some stamping on this little tiny white scrap. The only other piece that I have to show you is a piece. I started with a scrap of Shy Shamrock, and I cut this out using the stylish shaped dies, and that was this die here. And so I've prepared that ahead of time for us right now. All right, let's do our stamping. This is a new stamp set. It does come in a bundle with coordinating dies, and it is called Flowers of Beauty. We're going to be using 3 stamps from this set. All right, so I have the first one mounted on a large block. This is actually the, let me see what letter it is. This is the I block that I don't have to use very often, but this is a long stamp and kind of wide. All right, so there's 2 similar stamps in this set. This tall kind of stems florally stamp, I'm going to stamp first in the Shy Shamrock, and then I'm going to use the second stamp that kind of fills in the areas with Lemon Lime Twist. So let's see what that looks like. All right, first with Shy Shamrock. And I know that this is going to go this way, but the block is kind of awkward to hold, so I'm actually going to stamp it at this angle. It's just easier for me to hold. All right, there we go. It's kind of the outline, kind of the framework for the next stamp. So let me clean that stamp, remove it from my eye block. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the next stamp on the same block, this time with Lemon Lime Twist. I was kind of playing with these greens, and I liked the way that the Lemon Lime Twist kind of popped with the Shy Shamrock. All right, so I am going to go ahead, even though it's not as comfortable, I'm going to hold the stamp this way because I want to line up my images. So I'm looking straight down through the clear block, lining up the leaves and the stems best that I can, but without making myself crazy, and stamp that down. All right, that gives us a beautiful two-tone image of those leaves and stems. Okay, next I'm going to use this stamp from the set. Okay, these little flowers. And I'm going to ink that up with Petunia Pop. And this time, all I'm really doing as far as lining it up is I'm looking at that main leaf right there, and there is kind of a spot in this stamp, an open spot, and I'm kind of putting the leaf in that open spot right there. And aside from that, I'm just gonna let the flowers fall where they may. It's a little bit abstract, but it looks very pretty. All right, so there's that. Now, when I did this the first time, at first I was sort of pleased with it, and then I thought, oh, it just needs one thing. It needs a little bit of splatters. So I'm going to use my Petunia Pop Light Stampin' Blend. I'm going to use the brush marker end, and I'm going to use this to make some splatters. So I've got some scratch paper because this does tend to go kind of outside your space. And in order to do this, it's not a difficult technique, but it is one that you might want to kind of play with before you jump in and use it on a card. I'm going to actually flick the brush marker tip against the cap, and it's going to create some splatters. Now, this is not hard to do, honestly. Anybody can do it. The trickiest thing is that you aren't sure where the splatters are going to appear, because if I do this, you would think that the splatters are going to be right here, and you'll see that they're going to end up more like over there. See that? So that's the only thing, is kind of getting an idea with the placement so that you get some of these splatters where you want them. Okay, that is about enough. Just a little bit of pink splatter. I think that totally prepares this and finishes it for what I want the card to look like. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece and go. Do you see that I have green ink on me? I was fiddling with my Shy Shamrock and my Lemon Lime Twist and my Simply Chamois, and somehow I ended up with green fingers tonight. Okay, a little bit of liquid glue on the back of this white piece that we just stamped and splattered. And this is going to go on that layer of Shy Shamrock. I love these colors together. I wasn't really sure about Lemon Lime Twist with it, but I totally think it's working. Okay, let's attach this layer to our card base. You kind of have to decide if you want more texture or kind of debossed. I'm not sure which way I'll go on this one. I'm going to flip it this way. I think my glue will stick better. I'll be a little bit heavier with my glue just because of all this texture. I want to make sure that it gets a good seal when I place it onto this card base. Again, my card base is Shy Shamrock. Lining it up, looking at my borders, seeing if it's as straight as I can without making myself crazy. Okay, now in order to put this on here, I am going to use some dimensionals, and it is a rather large piece to add. So instead of just 4 on the corners, I'm at least going to put 1 in the center. I might even put 3 across in the center. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I have my 4 on the corners, 1 in the center. I don't think that's going to be too bad. I think that center one is going to keep it from sagging in the middle, and that will be enough. So I'm going to remove the backings. In order to save myself a step later, I'm doing this right over my wastebasket. All right. Now this is going to go over here to the left. Again, very simple, clean lines. 2 greens and a little pop of pink. I think it's pleasant looking. What about you? So far? Okay, now I have this tag that I created out of Shy Shamrock. This is going to go here, and I have a scrap of white cardstock. Usually when I do this, I start with a piece that's a little bit too big, and then after I stamp it, I trim it down to fit, because this is going to go here, and that is a tiny piece of white to do my stamping on. So I did trim it down here for filming purposes, just so I don't have so much to trim, but I left some length. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to use the thank you stamp. Now, let me show you this stamp set. This is for sure going to be a favorite this year. This is a brand new stamp set called Simply Said. And look, it has all of the basic things that you are going to want to use over and over again. Hello, just a note, thanks, thank you, let's celebrate, birthday. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a great stamp set. I'm using the thank you stamp and using that Petunia Pop ink pad. All right, I've stamped it on this white piece. Now I'm going to see how it looks on the tag and obviously trim it down to fit. Okay, that's going to go there. So I'm going to need to trim some off of this end and also a little snippet off of that end. I could use my paper trimmer, but I'm just going to use my scissors and do the best that I can. A nice straight cut here and a nice straight cut here. My paper trimmer probably would have guaranteed that it was straight, but for fast and easy, sometimes you don't want to pull out all the tools for every little thing. Okay, this actually needs another hair trimmed off of this end. There we go. All right, let's attach this with some liquid glue. This is going right in the center. It's kind of nice because it reaches end to end in the little indentation part of the shape. All right, now this is something that you might not have seen before, or maybe you have, but this piece is going to get mounted onto my card like this. Now this area is already sticking up because I put it on with dimensionals. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to put a dimensional on this side of my tag. The other side doesn't need to be lifted because it's going to be resting on an area that is already lifted. So I'm just going to put a little bit of regular adhesive here. That way I haven't created kind of an odd lump. So it's nice and flat on this layer, but with the dimensional under this part, it pops it up so it's the equal height. Okay, at this point, I was kind of torn. Do I add sequins? Do I add rhinestones? But because it's a little whimsical with these bright greens, I decided to tone it down and use some linen thread, which is very natural looking. So I'm going to make a bow out of my linen thread. This is maybe 6 inches or so. I am going to move these ink pads out of the way so I don't stick either my hands or my beautiful card in the ink on accident. There we go. All right, I'm going to take my linen thread and just tie a bow. Let me also show you, this is really springy because of how it is wound on the spool. So if you just take your fingernails and kind of pull along it, almost like you were imagining doing some curling ribbon, it will help to straighten that twine out quite a bit. Look at, that's much better. So now it's not fighting me to try to coil up. All right, one loop, wrap it around, grab the other loop. Now it's just a matter of evening it out. So I want my loops about the same size and my tails. All right, we'll attach this with a mini glue dot. So there's one right here, right next to the edge of my torn piece. I'm just going to stick the knot right there into the glue dot, press it down, and peel it off the backing. All right, now the middle of my bow is nice and sticky. All right, this is going to go right here, just kind of at an angle. I want the loop to kind of go over my tag a teeny bit and press that on. Okay, I can use my scissors to trim up those tails a teeny bit. And there we have it. Now, this is going to need a white panel on the inside because it's just cleaner looking. It looks more crisp, and frankly, it's easier to write on a white panel than it is on the dark cardstock. Plus, if you wanted to decorate the inside, you completely could. I think, I wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm going to put some splatters on here just to tie it together with the inside, with the outside of the card. So I'm going to do some splatters up here and some splatters on the bottom corner. Just like that. Just so there's a little hint of color on my inside panel. Let's attach that to the inside of the card. And there we have our Fast and Easy card for Simply Saturday for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate those of you who tune in each and every Saturday to watch the videos or catch them at a later time. That's great too. And I love to hear from you. So please leave me a comment. If you have a question, I would love to hear from you as well. And I will put some helpful information for you in the description box below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy stamping.